Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Criticism is perfectly acceptable and fine, Indeed, this channel thrives on it. But the people we criticise, we're criticising because of the things they've said, or the things they've done, or the things they've said they were going to do and then never did, again. But we can criticise people for those sort of things. What you cannot do is criticise someone because of their religion, or because of the colour of their skin, or whether they're disabled or not. That would be quite improper, and it would remove their dignity, and it's just a very inhumane thing to do. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't discuss those very characteristics. We can discuss, for example, Humza Yousaf missing a vote because he is Islam, because he's a Muslim. He follows the teaching of Islam. That in itself is acceptable to do, because in his case, rather than standing up and saying, I support it in principle, but my religious view is that I cannot vote for it, but I will not actively vote against it, please understand. And that's fine. All right. It's a bit of a storm in a teacup, move on, nothing to see here. But the fact that he went around, tried to organise meetings, there was no backup, there was no staff car, there was no entries, then the diary entry got filled in after the event. He knew 9 weeks in advance when this was going to be, and all that. It's a very elaborate hoax to try and cover up for the fact that all he had to do was say, look, I can't do it because of my religion. Move on. See, nobody was criticising his religion. They were criticising his actions in trying to avoid the vote. And so, yes, these characteristics are able to be discussed, but you cannot criticise them. Indeed, if I was to make any kind of disparaging comment about someone's skin colour, let's say Kemi Badenoch, she said something, I'd be perfectly acceptable to criticise her and say it's a really stupid idea. Kemi, you've had a really thick idea. What's wrong with you? Are you a moron? Perfectly fine. But if I was to suggest for one moment that she had this really bad idea, not because she's stupid, but because she's black, I would be off YouTube so quick my feet wouldn't touch. And so, of course, you don't do that. No one would do that. You don't do that in modern life. I mean, I personally, there's two things I cannot stand, and that's racism and the French. And that's a joke. You have to say that in case YouTube get a complaint. But given that all this is unacceptable, totally unacceptable everywhere, except one place. There's one place where you can make these kind of comments about Jewish people, about black people, about disabled people, about transgender people. You can make these comments, and once you make them, you'll get a bit of a mouthful. But then time ticks on. But you're not castigated. You're not cancelled. Indeed, you're rewarded with a nice plum government job handed to you by Humza Yousaf. Let's look at this. So, race shame Nat MSP moans about being able to move on after Humza Yousaf hands her a plum roll. Gillian Martin was found to have made these disparaging comments about Jewish, black, disabled and transgender people in blog postings while working as a college lecturer, but has been allowed to take up a government job under Humza Yousaf. Had anyone else, any other role of life, said comments like this, they would be out that door. There would be no coming back. Why does the SNP think that she is worthy of a second chance despite hating on just about every group? Wow, isn't it amazing? This is who the SNP are. By hiring her, they're showing that they're anti-Jewish, anti-black, anti-disabled, anti-trans. Not bad for a party that's pushing trans so hard, is it? An SNP MSP who was sacked from a previous role after a racism storm has moaned about being able to move on after being handed a new role by Humza Yousaf. Gillian Martin, 53, had only just been made Minister for Further Education, Higher Education and Science by Nicola Sturgeon, when the offensive comments made against Jews, blacks, transgender people and disabled people re-emerged in 2018. However, the new First Minister gave her a second chance when he took charge in March, offering her the newly created energy brief in his first government. Miss Martin, a former college lecturer, made the comment in a blog piece in 2017. So right in, I mean, this isn't like a long time ago when the world was a different place. This is a modern day comment by a woman who's supposedly intelligent. Obviously not, though. She's got a job with the SNP. It included disparaging remarks about the tipping culture of black and Jewish restaurant customers from her time working in a bar in New Orleans, and she referred to transgender people as hairy-knuckled, lipstick-wearing, transitional transgender ladies, and also wrote that college PR staff would froth at the mouth with excitement if anyone in a wheelchair does anything that can be remotely described as an achievement. Do you see the levels of hate this woman has? It's unbelievable, and yet he will hire her. He will give her a senior role. Why is she even an MSP? Someone who hates people that much must surely be disbarred simply due to who she is. Anyway, the MSP for Aberdeenshire East has now claimed people should move on from the scandal. Oh yeah, she wants people to move on. Oh yeah, but stop raising it. Stop mentioning the awfulness of what I am. Stop showing people and telling people what an evil-minded piece of hate-filled filth I truly am. Because that's who she is. She doesn't like anybody, except maybe herself. But even then, I bet she's just still foaming at the mouth with self-loathing. Anyway, she said, people in their 20s could say things or post images they may not have done in 10 years' time. People in their 20s I know wouldn't, because people in their 20s now have been raised up long enough to know that you don't hate on people. People have to be allowed to explain themselves and take a different position potentially on things they may have thought in the past. People need to be allowed to grow and develop. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. But here's the thing. The culture that you have brought in doesn't allow for that. You are the woke wankers, and you have no forgiveness. And now you're hoist with your own petard, and you don't like it. And I laugh my huge balls off, because when you see these woke wankerati hoist up like that, caught, in their own trap, and then moaning that, oh, why can't people move on? It was a while ago now. It was 6 years ago. It wasn't half a lifetime ago. It wasn't when the world was a different place. It was 6 years ago. And you were in your 40s then. So you weren't even a youth. I mean, come on. Anyway, Mr Yousaf's decision to welcome Miss Martin back into the government fold was widely criticised by the opposition parties at the time. Scottish Tory MSP Annie Wells said, putting Gillian Martin forward for a ministerial role calls into question Humza Yousaf's judgment. He hasn't got any judgment, we know that. But he is hiring a racist, someone who hates disabled people, someone who hates Jewish people. There she is. I mean, to be fair, she's blonde, blue-eyed, poster child for the National Socialist Party. So she's bound to go well, with the Scottish National Socialist Party, isn't she? Anyway, they carried on. He's clearly ready to cast aside her beyond the pale comments that came to light the last time she looked set to join the ministerial payroll. Humza Yousaf is continuing to rapidly lose credibility over his cabinet and ministerial appointments. The trouble is, he's got so few to pick from because he can only pick from his half, or his 40% of the party, because he can't pick from the other half because that would be like admitting defeat. And all he's got on his side are they're all losers, but he's got the losiest losers. And so he's ended up with people like this, people who make comments like that. And then he's getting ridiculed for it, and he doesn't like it. Stop bloody hiring them then, you moron. Anyway, Mr Yousaf, who in the past called for politicians making racist remarks to be fired from other parties. And he defended his decision, claiming, I would say that Gillian Martin knows my position in relation to those remarks. It'll be no surprise to any of you, of course, that I've got a really strong track record for standing up against bigotry of any sort. She has apologised for those remarks, and she apologised to me also for those remarks when we had a discussion about her appointment. And yet he sat there and said, other parties, he said that once, 20 years ago, he got to fire him. But it doesn't apply to him. Two-faced, hypocritical, and desperate to get someone in to take attention away from him. Because he knows that if he can fill everyone up around him, that people will be pointing and look at them because they're stupid, or they're isties and phobies and morons, or just controversial in some way, then people aren't looking at him, and he can get away with a lot more, and that's what he's doing. We can't let him. I won't let him. I'm watching everything like a hawk, and so should you. Anyway, I shall round off and come up. There are people who have let slip things just casually, without even realising they've said it, who've been cancelled and have never been seen again. But for someone in the public eye to do this and then do it repeatedly and then be given another opportunity, you have to wonder the thinking behind Humza Yousaf there. Why would he do it? Why would he pick a woman whose controversial past, but he's going to come back, haunt her, haunt him? Is he saying that speech is acceptable? Is he saying it's okay to say those things? Because that's what it looks like he's saying. But, you know, it's just a very bad case of judgment. The man has got zero judgment. And the trouble is he's got no one to pick from because they're all bloody useless. Every single one of them. It's just that some of them are worse than others. You know the really bad ones, they're in the cabinet. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for listening. If you like what you see here on the channel, please do hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. But mostly leave a like, they're the big ones. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, delete your histories, and goodbye.